Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today, we're going to dive into a topic on how to select the correct loft for your driver.
And it's complicated because I think in the past, driver designs were maybe a little bit more similar. Now there's so many different factors. Maybe you played a 9 degree 10 years ago. Driver designs changed. Should you still be using a 9 degree, or if your swing's changed? I mean, it's a pretty complicated thing.
It really can be. I mean, that's just one component. You know, driver loft is a component, a static component to a dynamic decision. I think understanding the delivered loft impact is going to be ultimately the way that you choose your static loft. Right. First golfer we're going to replicate, Matty Boy, is the steep angle of attack player. Okay. That player generally has the ball starting out low, and because they are on the slightly steeper side, they normally choose high loft.
Of course.
That normally is at the detriment of their distance though.
Yeah, because so they're seeing the ball take off low and they're associating, I don't hit a high ball, I need more loft.
And they also tee the ball too high.
Gotcha.
Right? Now, two different things you can do. You can tee it higher and change your swing.
Right.
Don't tee it higher just thinking that's the fix.
Of course.
Because all you'll do is make bad contact and you'll deliver, too much dynamic loft relative to your downward angle of attack.
Of course.
Spin loft gets higher, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Really, really nice. So there's a group of golfers out there going, yep, that's me. 106 miles an hour clubhead speed. Ball speed is good, but spinning it at least 1,000 too much. 255 if we go off of the ball speed multiple we use, 2.7 times the clubhead speed, we know that golfer is nowhere near optimized.
Right, there's quite a few yards on the table there.
30, easily 30. So downward, little too much loft. The discrepancy between those two, so we're looking at about, just under 18 degrees of spin loft.
Right, and that's the number that really does matter. So if somebody, for example, has a 12 degree driver, but they only deliver 14 degrees, they're good to go.
Exactly.
But this is somebody who actually is delivering too much lofted impact.
Exactly. And this player's thinking to themselves, I've heard the TXG boys say peak height, keep that around your club head speed. Okay. With an iron. Yes. Right? So this is a driver, obviously 106, so it's peaking. So it's maybe a little high in peak height. Right. Great way to know. So guys, if you're swinging driver at 106, your 6 iron's probably around 90. Okay. 6 iron speed is what your apex should be, roughly, for most amateur golfers. Professionals, it's actually more like their driver speed. Dustin Johnson is 120 miles an hour driver speed. He apexes the ball right around 120 most of the time. Amateur golfers, it's more like their 6 iron. So 90 should be equaling about 90 feet in peak height.
So the fact that this is 20 plus feet higher, you can see the spin rate is high. That's probably why we're getting the ball too high up in the air and you're losing, 15, 20 yards there?
At least. So let's fit this golfer. Gotcha. Right? Let's bring that dynamic loft down for this golfer. Let's bring that CG forward for this golfer. Let's choose the right loft for this golfer.
Perfect. That's a nice flight.
So good.
Got some run to it and everything.
Okay, Matty Boy. So that is a picture perfect way to pick up 20 yards.
Wow.
You actually had less speed, so you didn't have to work as hard for that.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't have to do nearly as much, but delivering a more square face relative to your path, less dynamic loft, ultimately controlling the launch and spin, led to a gain of 20 yards.
Obviously you went down in loft. Explain to me, dynamic loft, I think people maybe don't understand. It's not just the static loft picture.
It's not just that way. Yeah. It's very much controlled rotationally.
Gotcha. So you've actually kind of made 3 adjustments. You went down in static loft. The center of gravity location of this driver is much more forward, closer to the face. That produces lower dynamic loft. Correct. And then also you gave me a driver that closes easier. Yeah. And so the more closed the face, the less dynamic loft. So all of that removes the spin that we had way too much spin before. And that's the thing, like we've made multiple improvements to compound the kind of difference. 1.5 degrees of loft does not make that amount of difference. So if you had G425 max and you went to the 9 degree, this would not have happened? Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have done that. It would have maybe dropped it a little bit and launched down a little bit, and you would have got an incremental gain. But you've compounded the gain to now become somebody who, just because you're a little bit down in your angle of attack, doesn't mean that you have to drive it short.
Because it's wasted energy to some degree. If you're swinging downwards, that's fine. But if you're producing the extra loft, you can swing as hard as you want. You're really just, you're getting more lift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Cool, eh?
Yeah, really
All right,
cool.
so now we're going to talk to the opposite golfer. We're going to talk to the golfer who struggles to keep the ball in the air. They kind of get the ball diving a little bit too much. So low dynamic loft, high angle attack, really narrow spin loft, and just loses lots of run, but only in certain conditions do they achieve that distance.
Perfect. That's nice. Didn't have enough lift to stay in the air, did it? But was struck well.
Here we are. We're still the same golfer. 148 ball speed, 105. We are delivering the same amount of dynamic loft, 17.
So interesting, isn't it?
Really interesting. But by hitting up on it so much with a high strike, you're really struggling to get that carry distance. I mean, you're relying on 40 yards a roll to be your 260 number.
You'll never get that, will you?
Yeah, not at all.
Concrete fairway only.
But you're only achieving 1,000 RPMs of backspin.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to try and deliver it 6 up at 105 and see if we can try and get that to balance out a little more.
Okay. There it is. 20 yards in the air at least.
Yes. I mean, that golfer's so happy. And this is how fittings go. This is what we do, and this is what we see every single day, with the aspects of we don't lose speed, we gain speed.
Right. We don't lose speed.
For the purpose of, I just think it's an exclamation point that we don't have to necessarily, you swung slower there. You put less in, you got more out.
Yes.
That's the name of the game. That's what we do in fits.
Absolutely.
For your angle of attack, we gave you a more appropriate dynamic loft. Ultimately, the result of that was lifting the launch a little bit, but the spin was the big difference.
Yeah, twice as much spin.
Yeah, that's it. So for that golfer, they increased their carry by 23 yards. It was never going to be about total yards.
No.
But now that creek that used to be a huge problem, or the bunker that they had to lay up, there could be a 50-yard difference for that player because they've got to take a hybrid to lay up. Now they can sail over it. They're way down there. And we always say strokes gained, that's what it matters. So looking at those two, you would think that's the slow speed player in the blue.
Yeah.
And that's the high speed player because he's bombed it past them.
Great point.
Complete opposite.
Absolutely. Talk to me about the amount the ball curved. I found kind of interesting. With sort of the same swing, same delivery and everything, the ball with no spin on it, it looks like it's way right at target as well.
Yeah, so when that spin loft window narrows, it's easier to tilt the axis, which makes the ball curve much more aggressively. So the face to path discrepancy, we don't have the kind of the stability on the golf ball from the higher spin, the spin loft that allows it to create some lift. So that ball doesn't curve nearly as easily.
And so the one mistake someone might make is just, it's not as simple as going, this player couldn't just go up and loft in the same head, and the original player couldn't just go down and loft in the same head. You also had to pick, they're drastically different driver designs, and they're from different brands because they're all a little bit subtly different in how they launch the ball.
Guys, I think in terms of information and value, this might be one of the better ones we've delivered to you in quite some time. Looking at such a complex decision as to how to pick drivers. I know it seems simple. They're all good, just get a 9 degree, I get a stiff shaft, that's what I've always used. It's not that easy. Whether you're going with a heavyweight ping with a counterbalance shaft, whether you're going with a TSI and a Tensei, AV Raw, white, whatever it may be, you've got to understand all the components that go into it. And it's my belief that I don't think you can do that without properly being fit. I don't think there's any one of you will go out there unless you're throwing darts in a blind room, in a dark room, just hoping to hit a target. That's your best bet when you go into a store trying to pick one off the shelf.
Absolutely, and I think it's tough to assess your own ball flight because, as you said, you might think you're a low ball hitter.
Yeah.
You're not. You're a low launch hitter with high spin. And this player might think they're a high ball hitter. They're not. They're just launching it high and it's diving out of the air.
Okay, guys, hope that's speaking to some of you out there. I think it will be, showing you both examples, the low launch high spinner, the high launch low spinner, showing you how to manage both of those. And obviously there's some golfers that are right in between that, but I think in the extreme, the lessons are in there, right? What you need to do to manage the loft through rotation, through centers of gravity, different heads and how they complement that. And the interesting thing is, We never changed shaft once.
Yeah, same shaft the whole time.
You know, so that again tells us that, you know, we don't always need low launch shafts. We don't always need high launch shafts. We need shafts that we can time, ones that we can create balance throughout the build. That's the importance of the shaft when it comes down to the whole kind of concoction mixed together.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of that, isn't it?
Definitely. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you again soon.